Today on Homeworthy, we're headed back to the great state of Minnesota. Known for its stunning lakes, lush forests, and vibrant cities, Minnesota offers a unique blend of natural beauty and architectural charm. We'll tour a charming thrifted family home in Red Wing, a fixer-upper tutor home in Minneapolis, and a moody, sophisticated home in Edina. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Sapphire Anderson. Welcome to our home in Red Wing, Minnesota. Let me show you around. Hi, my name is Sapphire Anderson and welcome to my family home here in Minnesota. I live here with my husband and our two little twin boy rascals who are 2.5 years old. I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago, but I grew up in Idaho when I was 7 and just kind of moved around after that. Lived in Florida, Chicago, which is where I met my now husband, Tyler. And now we're here in Red Wing. When Tyler and I were in Green Bay, we wanted to move closer to his family. We came to Red Wing and we actually only looked at 3 total homes, this one being the very first one. We walked through it and after about an hour said, this is the one. So this is our entryway. This is honestly one of my favorite spaces in the house, and it is obviously the first space that we saw when we walked in, aside from the front porch, and the staircase alone had us blown away. The woodwork, the banister, the spindles. When we first moved in, there were some awful stair treads on there, carpet treads, but we have since replaced them. It's one of my favorite spaces, and it's because I get to showcase a lot of fun pieces that are dear to me and that I've just collected from Marketplace or thrifting, like this console table. It's pretty hefty. I'm not quite sure where it's from, but I did get it on Marketplace for a bargain. And it just, holds regular entryway items. This I like to call my candle drawer. I always love lighting candles throughout the day, especially at night. We don't turn on a lot of lights, so I really enjoy having smell goods. This typewriter is very, very old, and we actually got it from my husband's sister-in-law. It was her grandmother's, and unfortunately she is now passed, but she had some really beautiful pieces, and she asked if I wanted this, and I was like, yeah. So that sits right here. Behind is a photograph of James Baldwin. He is everybody's uncle. He is an incredible writer, activist. And our boys are actually named after him. So it's really special. And it's actually kind of fun. I didn't do this on purpose, but I set him here, and then I originally had this in the front room, and then I changed it and put it right in front of him. It just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of is really sweet. So I've got some books that I've ordered from eBay, lots of eBay ordering lately. I really love ordering books from eBay just because most of the time they're in pretty good condition and a bargain. Like, I mean, you can find really beautiful designer books for a quarter, less than a quarter of brand new price. On top here, I have this really beautiful antique African mask. And I actually stumbled upon the company who sells the mask, who actually are no longer in business. And it's crazy how it happened. I was just searching for masks and came across their website, and it said going out of business, and their prices were slashed to the max. So I searched and searched and searched, and just really, I don't know, I fell in love with this one. I love the earthy, I mean, obviously a lot of African pieces are earth toned, right? But this one, I love how it's mostly dark, almost black, and then the eyes kind of like glow. And if you look really, really closely, he's kind of like, his grill is showing there. So I thought that was kind of fun. Next to that, I have this really stunning ceramic vase. It's from a friend on Instagram. She is a ceramicist in the Portland area, I believe. Her name is Karma Ferrier, and she gifted me this beautiful piece. She asked me, you know, what kind of style I wanted it to be, and I really love like vintage pottery pieces. I love the urn shape. I feel like the urn shape is a very antique shape. Here's another little, or I shouldn't say it's little, but it's mighty. It's pretty hefty. This solid wood bust, African bust. And this was also an eBay find. I'm not quite sure who made it, but it just spoke to me. Like, you know, I feel really empowered just having it here front and center in the entryway. So I kind of like her sitting behind the hydrangeas too, kind of peeking through. This is another one of my favorite pieces. So I found this on Marketplace and my best friend picked it up for me, and it's just so funny because, you know, when you're really into Marketplace, you will go to the lengthiest length there is. And, you know, I'm not afraid to ask a friend to pick things up. But yeah, she picked that up for me. It's just beautiful alabaster. In a couple places in the house, throughout the house, we've got a really beautiful stained glass windows. I actually base now a lot of what I bring in off of the colors that are on the stained glass, which is terrifying and exciting at the same time. I really love seeing people's homes filled with color, but I'm always so nervous about doing it in my own home. But I feel like having a white base and then, you know, pulling in the random bright colors is always a good way to go. So up here on this bottom landing, I've got this really stunning print. It's by a Black artist that I found on Instagram. Actually, you know, it's just interesting. A lot of Black people, like in Africa, they will twist their hair like this to stretch it out, and they bind it with like some sort of like string, a tight string. And yeah, that allows it to kind of stretch out when it's wet, and then once it's dry, it stays that way. But yeah, I just love the rawness of it. You know, her hair's not done up and glamorous. It's just her and her hair. I know this is, I wouldn't say it's controversial because not a lot of people in the States even know what it is, but I believe it's called a portiere, and a lot of people in Europe have them in entryways or right above doorways, like a front door, or just any walkway or pathway that brings in a lot of draft. And to be honest, it does kind of we do get a little bit of draft in this front room and then the entryway a little bit because the house is so old, right? But yeah, I just love how bold it is and unique. And I just luckily had a random rod, and it just drags over like this. It allows me to bring in some pattern and some color without having to, drench a wall and then be terrified about it and then have to paint it all over again. This mirror is definitely a statement piece, and it is the very first, I think, maybe the second, if not the first, thing that I got off of Marketplace when we first moved in 2020. And yeah, it was a whole whopping $25, and I couldn't believe it. This bench I actually recently got a couple weeks ago. It's actually a pair. The other one is outside waiting to be sprayed, but you can still kind of see where I missed, but it was hot pink. And I feel kind of bad that I sprayed it because the person had sprayed it right before she listed it, but I couldn't do the hot pink. So I just sprayed it matte black and thought that it would pop nicely. The cushion on here is actually a cushion from a couple chairs that we had outside on the porch, and which we no longer use, and it's literally the same size as the seat. So bonus there. But I just love how, wrought iron really just makes such a chic and bold statement amongst other pieces that may be softer. So when we first moved in, right off the bat, it seemed perfect. We weren't looking for a really big fixer upper or anything like that. But as the months and then a year or two moved on, I started tinkering with plans to kind of shift things around aesthetically. No like knocking down walls or anything like that, but like we did knock down the kitchen cabinets. So I guess there was one knockdown, but we updated the kitchen, and that's really the biggest project that we've had. The other big thing that we've done is probably just paint everything white so that it was nice and bright versus the kind of dim brown tan situation that was going on when we first moved in. This is my sacred space. This is my most favorite space in the house. When we first moved in, my vision for it was exactly what it is now, a library situation. But we didn't call it the library until recently. It's just because, design takes time, right? Like, it's seen a lot of different furniture and styles, but what it is right now is here to stay. So I just really wanted to elevate it even more. They say the trick to making a space feel bigger and taller is to bring things all the way up. So we actually just raised these bookshelves, and the ceilings in here are 9 feet tall, but it feels so much bigger now, and also at the same time like a warm hug. This is where I sit every single morning. If I'm not outside on the porch, I'm in the chair here in the corner, coffee, and I've got all my design books here. We've got books about racial justice. I've got some Black romance books that I'm really excited to jump into. And yeah, obviously we've got a shelf or two for the boys. They have to have their own space too. I think this is something, I don't want to say rare that people do, but not a lot of people do it. They hang prints or just things in general on the face of their bookcases. But I just think it's so unique and it makes it stand out more. And it's also a good way to hide empty space until you can actually fill your bookcase with books. But I think even after like I get more books for behind here, I'm gonna leave it because it's just so, I love the gold, the old gold frame makes it pop. But I found this on Marketplace and it is an antique painting. I'm not sure who it's by, but it's just really beautiful. I love, it's almost like impressionist style, and a lot of those paintings are very dark, very dim, and I love that. It's definitely a mood. Over here, this sofa, oh my goodness, I spent months and months and months just going back and forth on whether or not to get this one or another one or find one on Marketplace that's vintage, because I really love vintage and antique pieces. But it is a modern piece and it's from Lulu and Georgia. It's their Fabian sofa and it's absolutely perfect. I actually really love the modern box, somewhat slope arm here at the back shape of it, amongst everything else, like all the antique and vintage pieces that we have. It's just it's super cozy. And it's honestly, it's the boys, their favorite spot to jump up and they'll, it's really sweet. They look out the window and watch the cars and the garbage trucks go by. On the floor, we've got this stunning vintage Bokhara rug that I found on eBay, and I still can't believe I found it because these things they're hefty and the price is hefty too. But I made an offer, which is something that I stand by. I always make an offer on things. I follow somebody on social media who specializes in antique and vintage and antique rugs, specifically Bokhara rugs. And I sent it to her. She asked me to send her a photo of like underneath the rug just to see like the thread count. Yeah, tell me how old it is. So if you're ever interested in how old your rug is, just look under it. I think you have to like measure an inch area and count the threads in it, which is kind of tedious because they're very, very tiny. But it's worth it. I think it's really fun and comforting knowing that like this is a hand knotted rug. Like how cool is that? A lot of library spaces nowadays and way back when have an office section in some part of it, and I really wanted that in here. I don't work from home, or my husband doesn't work from home, but I do think it is good to practice sitting at a desk to be on the computer or to write a letter or something like that. But I wanted something old, antique, vintage at least, and I found this really sweet desk that this family used as a kid's project desk. So the top of it is actually wood and it's covered in like hot pink paint and blue and yellow, all sorts of scratches and dings on it. And there were different knobs on here, but I changed them out with some hefty brass knobs that I had laying around I got at like a restore one year. And I believe the legs on these are what they call barley twist legs. And I just think it's so fun. Like it adds texture and makes it more fun instead of, these clean, straight, boxy lines. So the top, I went back and forth on whether or not I wanted to sand it down and refinish it, right? But then I was like, no, that's another thing that I love is old pieces as is. Like as is pieces, just they tell way more history than bringing them in and stripping them down of their stories and memories. But I did decide to at least cover the top because the paint marks weren't doing it for me. But I found this marble slab, which was actually a coffee table. And it was about a foot or two wider. And our contractor, he cut it down for me to size and then placed it on top of the desk so that it wouldn't, he caulked it. It's not going to move. It's just perfect. I love the sheen. I love the white. It enables everything that I have on here to pop and stand out. These two sitting chairs are a dream come true. Honestly, I just kid you not, I just picked them up like 3 days ago. I drove an hour and a half to get them in a very small town, kind of similar to Red Wing, actually, a river town, Austin, Minnesota. And they're from a family. They live in an antique home as well. And they've had these chairs for almost 25 years. They moved in 2000, I think they said. And they had them in their bedroom. They have several kids, so they've seen everything. They've been through the ringer, but they are so incredibly sturdy. Like they don't bud. The bones are incredible, and it just amazes me every single time I pick up, an antique piece and it's in immaculate condition because it's like, how old is this thing? Before they had it, the wife said that she got it from her principal. So who knows how long he had it, and who had it before he had it. So, but yeah, I just love how they're matching and they're just the right size for in here. It's not really, that big of a room, but I love the conversation that it will bring and then it does bring visually. So yeah, and on them, we've got these verdure, I think that's how you say it, verdure style pillowcases. So I found these pillowcases on Etsy from a lady in Wisconsin. Her Etsy shop name is Pillow Talk, I believe. Kind of cute. I am obsessed with French verdure tapestries, textiles. But yeah, this is my safe space. This is my safe spot. Having a safe space is really important to me, and how I went about doing that was just including things that and styles that represented me as a Black woman, as a Black human being. Stuff like I've got some African pieces. I've got a couple Trinidadian pieces, which is, near and dear to me as I am Trinidadian. So off of the library and also off of the entryway is the dining room, and it, I believe, is the largest room on the main floor. I love that it's centered, front and center from everything else. I have had a lot of fun just imagining what this space could be, and even, going through a couple different versions of what I thought it would be. But this is the current situation. It's super fun. So this table I am just so obsessed with. I really love antique pine tables, stripped pine specifically. But unfortunately, those are more common in Europe, which is fine. One day I'll get there. But until then, I found this on Marketplace for an incredible price. And it was actually like orange when we got it and just like 2 or 3 inches wider. So we sat with it as is for a while until I figured out what I wanted to do with it. And I stripped it all and sanded it all, the edges, the turned legs, which was a lot of work, and a tiny sander. But I stripped it and sanded it and then actually lived with it stripped for a little while longer and then stained for it that I wanted, stained it. And it was still a little bit off. It was like reading like too gray for me. And then I found a company called Fids and Sons. They sell their waxes on Amazon, and the finish is a wax. It's a wax polish that you actually only have to put on once. Like you put a goop of it on the table and you rub it in, and then you just rub it in a little bit more, and that's it. And within 30 minutes, it's already cured, which is like gold to me because, a lot of stains and finishes, you have to wait like at least half a day or 24 hours to be able to, use it or have water on it or whatever. But this wax is amazing. These chairs, these Windsor chairs are kind of special to me, actually. So these I also found on Marketplace. 4 of them I found on Marketplace, and they were from a lady all the way in Wisconsin area. I think she's in the Green Bay area. So obviously that's super far away. I've never driven that far to pick anything up from Marketplace, but one day I shared them on my social media and I was like, oh my gosh, these chairs are amazing. Gosh, it's so far away. And I received a message from just a beautifully gracious human being who lived in the Green Bay area, and she was like, hey, I am going to be in the Twin Cities area next week. How about I pick these up for you and meet you and call it a day? And I was like, no way. And at first I'm like talking to Tyler and my mother-in-law like, is this weird? What's going on here? And, I realized quickly that it's actually a Midwestern thing. The Midwestern nice is definitely a thing. Over here in this wall is our hutch, and it's very interesting because this is actually not a dining hutch. It's an antique cupboard is what they would call it, 100 years ago. Or wardrobe. It used to have doors. You can see like on the sides here, there are old nails in here, and then where the hinges were. The only thing I thought of was glassware. Like, I just love crystal clear glass against old antique pine or oak. I just think it's just so beautiful and classic. But yeah, we did not do anything to it. And it's also another piece that's just structurally sound, incredibly sound. Like it just doesn't, it's mind blowing how, these old pieces were built. This is one of my favorite pieces. It is a French Tian bowl, and it is, I'm not sure how old it is, but it's definitely antique. I found this one on Etsy, I found this one on eBay, not Etsy. And it's another piece that I had just been searching for a long time for. I promised myself, when I want something really special that is antique or vintage, I'm not just gonna get, I'll make a dupe or find a dupe for certain things, but for beautiful pieces like this, especially pottery, which I have a huge passion for, I will wait. And I have this like manifestation thing that I do, or technique, I guess I should say. And I just like keep searching, or like save ones that I find even if they're out of my price range. And one day I was on eBay and I was just like, oh, let's see if there's any on here. And this one came up at an unbelievable price, and I actually offered lower and they countered, and I accepted. I was like, I'm never gonna find a Tian bowl like this in this size too. Like, and you could do so many different things with this. Nowadays, we could use it in the garden to collect tomatoes and bring it up to the house. I could use it on the dining table as a centerpiece, or just like off to the side here. It could be used as to hold, wine bottles with ice in it for a party. But back then, people used it I think they used some of these, there are smaller ones that were used for dough, I think, or milk and washing. Gosh, there were a lot of different uses for these bowls. Right here is our bar area, and typically, people actually have like a bar cart or something like that, but I wanted something different. I wanted something with maximum storage, just something unique. And a dresser is such a cool way to hold wine, or just like stuff you don't want people seeing in general. Like, just throw it in the drawer and call it a day. Like, don't worry about it. I've got like linens in here. There isn't any alcohol in there yet, but yeah, it's a cool storage piece, and a conversation piece as well. And up top, we've got a couple printed images that are dear to us, the kings. And yeah, it's just a really fun corner. I love it. In this corner area, I had a tough time trying to figure out what to put here because it's such a small spot, and small corners in general are kind of tricky. Like, what do you put there? Like a hanging plant or like a floor vase or something. But I really wanted to be able to showcase books. I love books and I love the way they look. I love the way interior design books look, especially, old garden ones. But yeah, so I found this accent table console thing on Marketplace. Everything is from Marketplace. So I found this on Marketplace, and it needs a little bit of work. We have to be careful when we open the drawers here. But it works. Like I keep keys in here, or we've got like, the stain treater for the boys, different odds and ends that are in there. I replaced the hardware that was on here because it was very dark and you just couldn't really see it very much, and it just didn't really stand out to me, and I wanted something to pop against the mahogany color of the console. So yeah, below I've just got some I've got a gourd piece that I thrifted here in town. I do think that I'm not quite sure if it's how old it is, but I just really love the pattern to it. It kind of reminds me of a zebra. But a couple decor books there, and cookbooks. Up top here on this cookbook here, which I really love, green is my favorite color, which is, you probably would never know because we don't have a lot of green, but I wanted it to stand out here. But on top of it is this beautiful vase that's got curled legs. It's a crystal glass vase, and I found this on eBay. I saw it in a designer's home online, who I just really am just enamored by their talent. And they often collect just like the most beautiful crystal pieces. And all I did was search the image, which is a really good trick. If you don't know the name of something, or you can't find something from a brand, if you have access to take a picture of it and put it into Google, and all these searches will come up. And eBay had several of them, different versions, but this was the one that I wanted, and it was a massive steal. So yeah, I use it for water. I typically use it for flowers though, but yeah, I love it. And then on this wall here, I've got two really, really, really beautiful African masks that I got from the same antique shop in Eau Claire that I got the antique botanicals from. Antique Emporium is the name of the shop. And I just love, again, like the mask in the entryway, the deep brown and the lighter brown areas is just like, oh yeah, I like this one on the eyes is the same as one in the front. How funny. It's just really beautiful. Adds texture and warmth, and also just speaks to Black culture. So it wasn't until, honestly, I realized that I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. I wasn't in school anymore. I was going to school part-time, but then I got pregnant and realized, well, that's not the direction that I should be going with two little ones coming. I think knowing that I was going to be at home 24/7 in this big box by myself, with two babies to have conversations with, I wanted it to feel like me. I wanted to feel safe and comforted and, just at ease. And I want to look at pretty things all day aside from dirty diapers. So my design style, I would say, is just a mixture of everything. Cottagecore, British, primitive, vintage, antique. Also just a mixture of a blend of things that make me feel safe and seen and comforted. I think that's a style too. Making your home, a safe haven refuge, by including different eras or cultural pieces. This is our kitchen, and I honestly, I pinch myself every time I come in here because it's just so different than what it was when we moved in. So we did do a little light renovation. Over here on the back wall, there were cabinets on the wall, close up to the ceiling, and they were almost this color of this basket, really dark. And then below, the cabinets were the same color as well. Just a super dingy counter space and a massive kitchen island on the wall opposite. Because there's only one window in here, it doesn't let in a lot of natural light. And I need light when I'm cooking. I love to cook. I'm a baker as well. So I was like, we need to knock things down. So we knocked down the cupboards and painted the lowers. We added butcher block counter top, a new sink, and painted it white because it was a tan color in here. And then just recently, just to kind of draw the eye to different levels, and in a way it opens up the space more. We added some plates on the wall and then a pot rack suspending from the ceiling, which is super fun and cool. And it really made this side of the kitchen stand out in a good way. Before, I didn't enjoy cooking, and now I feel like I feel like I can enjoy myself, standing over the stove, stirring in a pot or something, and, walk over and open the cafe curtains and look out at the kids playing. And I can see now there's a light here now. But yeah, it's just super cozy, just like I wanted it. We didn't have this island before. So this actually wasn't an island. It's another special piece. It was actually an antique dresser that had 6 drawers. So I removed the bottom 2 drawers because I wanted to be able to just set some cookbooks in there. These ones are just vintage, like bread books, really, really old recipes. I think it's really fun. So I added a couple slabs of, I think this is like plywood or MDF board. I have yet to paint the inside, but I painted it. Another vintage antique piece that I painted, but I can count on one hand, so it's okay. But I wanted to still keep the space open and bright. This was very dark, the color of the inside of the bottom here. So it still felt really closed off. And because it's such a big piece, a substantial piece, with the dark tone and it being so big, it was just like, no, like a brighter color is going to do the trick and open it up. So I painted it the same color, which is from Faro and Ball. I just had it colored matched. And then the top of it, I really love this. This is a quartz slab that was gifted to me actually from a dear friend off of social media, and it's very, very, very special to me. They just remodeled their incredible home, and their kitchen is just adorned in this stone, and they had extra, and she knew that I was wanting a marble slab for the counter, or for the island, sorry. So yeah, it's perfect. Like, I know a lot of people have marble everywhere, like marble countertops and the marble island, but I think it really helps break things apart and kind of like sections things off in a way. And it plays really well with the peel and stick, if you can believe it, peel and stick floor tile that we have, which is like a faux marble print. Behind here is the coffee station. So this was a blank wall, but it had a massive rolling kitchen island that sat out to about here, and it had a deep lip on it that I think they used like as a bar top with stools. So we obviously got rid of that. It's now my husband's. It sits in the garage. He uses it to work on his bikes out there. But I wanted just a really sweet coffee station and a place where I could also display, thrifts from the years that I've collected and found. And I really am in love with Devil's Kitchen's brass rail, but not the price. So I just found a way to DIY. This is just a copper rod from Menards, and I ordered some really beautiful brass brackets to hold it up here from Etsy, a small shop on Etsy. The shelves, these are just plain old 2x12 boards from Menards that I stained in the same wax as the dining table, actually, the Fids and Sons wax. And yeah, I love it. It's like a mini coffee shop, honestly. Like, it's so fun and cozy, and I love being able to, like, you know, it's functional down below, but then I can change things up top in terms of style. Below, this is where the microwave is. I am just, you know, there are certain appliances that I'm okay with seeing, like, you know, the fridge and the stove. But microwave and like dishwasher, those gotta go. So I found a way to really just kind of mask them and hide them, but it's still being functional. So I got this fabric. It's just a really lightweight fabric from Joann Fabrics, and sewed a little pocket at the top and just kind of jimmied these curtain rods onto this. This is like an IKEA stand from Marketplace. And yeah, we just slide it open, and it has 3 drawers in there that we also keep some kitchen storage in. But yeah, it just adds a little fun little effect, I guess. And then we also did it over here with the dishwasher. So I know it's not everybody's thing, but I don't want to see it. So coming back around the house is the back deck. The deck was already here and built when we bought the house, which was a major plus. It was done beautifully. We actually just added this absolutely incredible pergola. It's by a brand named Toya Grid, and they're Canadian based, and they sell these really awesome, just beastly brackets, and you just get the wood, and it's so simple to put together, but it just adds such a like cool vibe, and honestly is like another room to the house. But I do like to entertain when I can, which is right now very rare with 2 toddlers. But I also found this on Marketplace recently, a trestle style table. This is actually from Mexico. On here, I kind of did, I'm super into Pinterest and decorating, and I found this style on there that I wanted to try and recreate. And we always have potted just sweet little plants out here on the deck during the summertime. But this year I wanted to take advantage of my sweet neighbor across the road. She has 2 really beautiful hydrangea, one hydrangea bush and a hydrangea tree, and they just produce like the most incredibly beautiful and sized hydrangeas. I'm actually hoping to have a little birthday celebration, and I think this is how I'm gonna style it, just like this with the hydrangeas. Thanks so much for coming to our home, Homeworthy. See you next time.
Homeworthy. I'm Victoria Sass of Prospect Refuge Studio, and I'm so excited to share with you this beverage-inspired home in Edina, Minnesota.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hi, I'm Victoria Sass, owner of Prospect Refuge Studio, and I'm coming to you from a home we designed in Minnesota. So interior design is all I've ever done. It's what I love. I'm incredibly passionate about shaping homes for young families. In particular, we have a very soft spot for old homes, young families. This home was pre-existing and we updated it to accommodate this young family that was moving into it. This client was someone we had worked with in a previous home. We've had a long relationship with them. And when this home became available, it was a love connection. And they brought us in to update a few things so that it'd feel right for their family. One of the things that our studio is very passionate about is concept. So all of our projects start with a strong conceptual vision. This homeowner loves all things, has a wide variety of interests. One of the ways we were able to accommodate this kind of like variety of concept was to channel and be inspired by beverages, which is a deep love of mine. So we interviewed the homeowner, kind of talking about each room of the house, its purpose, its function, when it might be used, what it might be used for, and sort of imagining what beverage might be associated with that activity or that time of day. Really getting granular as to beverages that bring that homeowner comfort or energy or whatever emotion they wanted to feel in that space. So every room in the home, they're all inspired by beverages, but each one has its own specific beverage. That kind of was the catalyst for how it came together. So this is the Negroni room, which was the homeowner's favorite evening cocktail. This is definitely an adult space. There's no toys, there's no toy storage, there's no television. It's very much about art. It's about furniture pieces that are sculptural. It's also a lot about color. So you might notice we're really limiting ourselves to 2 colors in this room. Well, maybe 3 if you count white, but there's sort of this white spine that I mentioned runs throughout the whole house. And then the only 2 colors we use in this room is sort of this ochre, custardy golden color, and like a rose, shades of rose, plum, kind of variations on this rusty red. The rug was a custom rug for the room. It fits the room like a glove. It actually follows the edges of all the walls. And then this sofa by Egg Collective was a beloved piece. Early on in the project, the homeowner was really excited to feature female furniture designers and female artists. She has a strong passion for supporting women creatives and women makers and just women in general. So we really worked hard to start with female furniture makers and designers wherever possible. So we do love this Egg Collective sectional. It's kind of the showpiece, the center of the room. And then we got to have a lot of fun with all the pillows on it. One of my favorite details that came later in the design was some of these little pillows. The homeowner calls them her samosa pillows, and they really are like little obtuse, angular throw pillows. And it was kind of an experiment for us to see how they functioned. And they are by far superior to the square throw pillow. Difficult to style, not for every room, but in terms of like support and like cozy factor, it's been really fun to see her living with them and using them. Most of the coffee tables are a little undersized for the room in that you can kind of move them around as you're using the space. If you're sitting on one side, you can kind of land here with this coffee table. These ones are great because they're not super heavy, so they can be, kind of picked up and moved around. They are glass, and they just have this great translucence. They seem to kind of glow when the light hits them just right. This coffee table is furniture / art. This space of like collectible design is a real passion point for me. The homeowner is an art collector, and working together to think about how we could incorporate furnishing pieces in the home that also function as art was really a fun conversation to have. So this is called the blah blah table, and it's got all these little motifs. It's a very narrative piece. It's a lot of fun to explore while you're, enjoying this room with friends or cocktails or whatever. This is a vintage mid-century chair, local mid-century furniture reseller, Danish Teak Classics. I love them. We worked with them to recover it in this like very plush golden mohair. So there's old pieces, there's new pieces, there's, midlife pieces. I think that mix is really important. This is a new piece, but it's a reproduction of an Eileen Gray table, fantastic female designer who is just starting now to get her due for being the visionary that she was. But that was really, I was happy that we were able to incorporate that piece in this room because I do love a little Eileen Gray in my life. One of the challenges of this room and sort of this asymmetrical angular sectional installation is we did kind of end up with an interesting corner left over, which I think a challenge is, the other side of an opportunity. We were so excited to be able to incorporate these pieces that function as sculpture, that function as a light source, that function as sort of a three-dimensional occupant of this corner. It's got a real whimsical, playful energy. I mean, I think a little bit of like a Dr. Seuss energy when I look at them. But they're really fun to like move around in 3 dimensions and sort of see all the different positive, negative space compositions. And it's a nice complement to all the framed art in the room. I think when it's abstract and whimsical enough, people can kind of see what they want to see in it and make a connection, which I think allows people to like have a dialogue with your space. Again, it is also one of those kind of situations where feeling a little bit challenged by something can be a good thing. I think, if you walk by this and you're like, this is, I'm feeling challenged by this piece today. It's an opportunity to have a conversation with your space. It's an opportunity to like engage and interact with your space. And I think that keeps you in love with your home longer. Some of these pieces pre-existed this home. So the homeowner had this, an art collection before she came to live here. So there were some pieces that we talked about early on about what rooms they'll go in and how they'll support that color story or just the mood of the room. And then the homeowner has continued collecting since we finished the project. So I know she does love to work with local art advisor, Rob Share, the Orange Advisory. So there's a few pieces that he's worked with her to collect. There's some local artists that are up and coming. I have been lucky enough to experience this space firsthand after hours. I was just over here the other night for kind of like a women's girls night kind of energy. We had a dinner party and there were some amazing, powerful leaders who came together and we had a great conversation. So this really functions so well for gatherings, groups of people. I mean, it's really made for larger groups to get together, to feel like, there's enough space for everyone, but also it feels very intimate. No one's on the outskirts. Everyone can kind of come together in this sort of speaking space. Just want to take a minute. The story of art without men. This sums up our homeowner right here. She's a real firecracker. The homeowner had a pretty tight schedule for executing the design work that we wanted to accomplish in this home. So I think it was about 6 to 9 months from when they took ownership over the home to when they wanted to move in, which that includes design, execution, punch list, the whole 9 yards. So how we went about doing that, first off, we had an amazing collaborator. The general contractor was incredibly responsive and happy to collaborate with us on the fly. I do actually think I'm a big believer in slow design. I really love when we can take our time and evolve things, add layers. I also think working on a very condensed timeline, while not for everyone, does kind of end up in a similar place. So that was a really interesting thing to notice, that kind of just being, allowing the space to evolve organically over a condensed timeline kind of had the same effect in the end. So we would be designing things on site one day, and literally it might be being executed either later that day or the following day. So, you know, we had to be very sure, but it also kind of led us to sort of like make one decision and then make the next decision and then make the next decision, which created this kind of layered effect that I think is very inviting when you're in the space. And so I think slow homes have that same effect, where you kind of get one layer established and then another layer established and you're building up. I find that when homes, and that's something that we really work on when we are designing new homes with an old soul, is really thinking about how can we have this collected, eclectic, organic, evolutionary feel to a space. Sometimes newer homes can feel very like they were all designed in one moment, and that can feel a little flat in my opinion. Come with me from the Negroni room into the champagne room. So the champagne room is the dining room, and right off the bat, one architectural detail I'd love to point out is we do have these amazing doors, pocket doors, that close off the dining room, and they're finished in this high gloss automotive paint. It's kind of a theme throughout the house. There's little touches of this super high sheen finish throughout, and you can close these doors and have a really intimate dining experience, which I've been a part of, and it's lovely and magical. Champagne, it's still cocktail hour, but it's a little more effervescent maybe. The light fixtures are actually recycled and pressed automotive plastic material that's been reclaimed and returned into these amazing adjustable light fixtures. So they lift up and down, and you can kind of angle these for an amazing kind of sculptural effect. Big piece of this room. We spent a lot of time designing this table. This is a custom table specifically for this room. It weighs 1,000 pounds, so it can never leave this room. And it's one solid piece of stone with this channeled edge profile. And we had a local maker fabricate a base. And it's a really special thing to be a part of. Fitting a lot of chairs around this table was intentional. It's very important. A certain size of gathering was very important that we were able to accommodate. It's not an expandable table, so it was really important that we were able to fit a good number of people around this. So thinking about things like the overall width of the seat pan, the fact that it doesn't have arms, making sure it feels like there's enough negative space as well. I don't know if you can see, but there's like a lot of voids in the chairs. They're not particularly visually heavy as well as physically heavy, obviously. So that was really important, that we were able to get a large gathering here together. The round table it has its challenges and its, selling points. I think, you have an opportunity for an amazing centerpiece when you have a round table. You have a egalitarian there isn't this head of the table situation. Everyone's kind of on equal footing, which is really lovely. But you do have to be really careful about your circulation space around the table. How far, when you don't have a full table, does it feel oversized? Does it feel undersized? Getting the sizing of it is really important. This piece of art lived here in our minds day one. So when we very first started thinking about this dining room, this was a piece the homeowner owned. It was in their previous home, and it's actually wrappers. It's like wrappers from food products that have been painted and assembled. And it's been in the homeowner's collection for some time. So it was really fun to start with this art piece and then build a room around it. Other pieces have come over time. This is a local artist to Minneapolis, Emma Beatrice, And she is having phenomenal success right now all over the United States. And I love her work. And again, very feminist, very, very female forward content. And it suits the room, the blue of the table. It's been fun to watch the collection evolve. So when you're designing homes in Minnesota, the weather and the seasons affect spaces dramatically. And so something that we consider here that maybe doesn't play in across the United States is how spaces can evolve through the season. So I think moodiness is very cozy in winter months. And so having some spaces that can lean into that, having other spaces that feel a little bit brighter. There's also like times of day, you know, there's certain rooms that you're gonna populate more in the daytime. And I think having that have a little brighter, more energetic feeling is important. And then other spaces where you're trying to like kind of quiet yourself or each other and kind of have a quieter moment, having spaces that support that as well. There's definitely a lot of flexibility. I think lighting is a big thing. We really leaned into lamp lighting and very targeted overhead lighting that's art focused. So it sort of feels like the furnishings and the art are glowing rather than there's this like umbrella of light shining down on you. So the home came to us with some amazing millwork and trim details. We adapted some of that or adopted some of that, you know, in spaces where it didn't pre-exist. We kind of continued it. We built on top of it. So I think it's one of those things where it'd be hard to kind of tell where the new and the old start and stop. But because we had all of this amazing trim work to work with, like the room we're in right now, it was really important to me that it didn't feel choppy and like there was a series of rooms. So we have one sort of spine color, everything's sort of this white, this warm white. And then we played with ceiling colors throughout the space as a way to kind of delineate different rooms. But from the outside looking in, you're not really getting a sense of there being three or a series of rooms all together. It's not until you're in the room that you're kind of enveloped in a new color, and then you move to the next room and you kind of get a new experience with a new ceiling color, but you're really only experiencing that from inside the room. So from the outside looking in, you have kind of continuity. From inside the room, you get this individual experience in every single room. So that's something where we kind of use the existing trim work and architectural like space planning of the house and added in color, and those two together created a very distinct effect as you move through the space. We probably touched most things in the house. Some things had a very light touch, some things had a heavier touch, like the kitchen was a full remodel. Fireplaces, some we remodeled to match the existing, some were pre-existing. So it really was about a blending. Like we wanted this to be a continuation of a story that already existed, not a full new start. Because the homeowner was really in love with what she found here, but there were just, you know, you want to put your own story alongside the pre-existing story. So out of the champagne room into a matcha latte. That's the inspiration for this kitchen space, and this room probably had the most architectural changes to it. It was the start of the conversation. It definitely was reimagined for a young family of 4. We've got the double islands that was added. We removed some walls. A big change to this space was this kind of central cabinetry component. That originally was a wall separating a butler's pantry, an ante room. You know, it was kind of broken up into a series of smaller rooms. We removed that wall and sort of created a division of space with a cabinetry piece. And then behind that is a little beverage center. What more would you want in a house inspired by beverages? But that's where the bar is, and kind of smoothie center, all of that. This room is much more organic than maybe the other rooms. Champagne, a little sleeker. This room, definitely cozier, earthier. And stone was a big driver of the color story in this room. The homeowner just had a really strong passion for beautiful stones. So we've got this minty green quartzite, and we also have this marble, which has kind of earthy brown tones, as well as picking up notes of that minty green as well. So these two stones together really speak to each other without feeling like matchy-matchy. We also incorporated a lot of wood tones in the space, so all of this cabinetry is new. It's kind of golden, not too heavy on the wood grain, but there's some knots in there, so it keeps it a little on the rustic side, a little more down to earth. We added the beams in this space. Those didn't exist in this home prior to our introduction to it. They don't match. I think it's really important to notice that like wood tones don't have to match. And especially in older homes that have evolved over time, they likely wouldn't match. So don't stress too much about your kitchen table matching your cabinetry, matching your ceiling beams. Just find the right wood tone for each piece that highlights that piece the most and let it be who it is. This stone island has power in it. It has, storage components in it. It is not mobile. It looks like you could pick it up and move it, but it is sort of more of the bar stool space. So this is where the homeowner keeps their custom height bar stools that we worked with them to design. And then we opted, because we had sort of this center table piece, we did not have to have bar stool seating at what would maybe be the more traditional kitchen island with the sink and the dishwasher and the trash. So in this space, we were able to do more of a showpiece storage unit. We've got that super high gloss automotive finish here, as well as on the kind of appliance console back there. And then our good friend Jordan McDonald made us these custom poles, which I know you can't feel them, but they feel so good in your hands. They really have a nice touchability, I guess is the word. This is where the homeowner keeps all of their cutlery, placemats. So as you're setting the table, it's a real easy jaunt from island to kitchen table. Lighting in this room, so we've got the architectural lighting in the ceilings, and then we've got decorative lighting. So there's kind of a suite. We kept it contemporary. It's actually kind of mix match. This is more traditional. You've got the Urban Electric is the manufacturer of it. Amazing customization. I think it's called the Beldy light, and they've got the painted lacquer on the outside, the kind of gold, warm, brassy interior. Then you've got another metal tone on the actual body of the light fixture. So this feels more traditional, and it gives great light to this countertop space. And then complementing it, we kind of stayed with this warm metals theme. We've got countertop lamp. Because we opened up this space, eliminated the wall, we had this amazing long countertop. We tried to kind of break it up a little bit with, I think this lamp kind of demarcates space nicely. This is sort of the end of the kitchen zone, and now you kind of enter into this more beverage forward bar zone behind. And this piece is amazing. It's unlacquered brass, so you're getting all of this character that's building up over time that makes it really dynamic and warm and special. Even though it looks very angular and hard, it has this warmth to it because it's so organic in its finishing. So here you've got our appliances are all kind of concealed in here. We've got our refrigerator, bank of refrigerators, freezers, appliances. And then beyond that, we've got this beverage center, and it looks very elegant, but it's very hardworking. We've got your exposed glassware here, a great opportunity for her to feature pieces that she's collected over time. This is kind of coffee center here. You've got your appliances. These are actually, let's see if I remember, refrigerator drawers. So as you're headed outside to the pool, a quick, grab and go situation there. If you're looking to do something more elaborate, we've got your bar station here. There's the sink. You've got room to store all of your glassware or bar making accoutrement. And then this lacquered display piece for additional bar pieces. So this finish, it was a really fun conversation to be a part of. The homeowner was really passionate about having this high gloss finish in little pockets throughout her home. And we tried, starting with just like high gloss paint, and it still wasn't glossy enough for the homeowner. She was like, I want more gloss. So we actually did work with an automotive refinisher to get this level of high gloss, which I think is really important to talk about. I had a friend recently who asked me about, how do I get that high gloss look? And it is really hard to get organically. Like, you can't DIY this. You can get to a certain level of sheen, but if you really want this flawless mirror finish, you are probably going to have to go to like a manufacturer or someone who professionally finishes things. We've got, dish storage. I love this moment, actually. It's kind of one of those sneaky things that I forget about because there were so many elements to this kitchen. But when you're opening your pantry, getting this like glowy light behind all of your dishware, it's just such a welcoming thing. I think especially if you've collected or curated a collection of dishes, having that sort of like greeting as you open your cabinets just makes me so happy. Pre-existing homeowner and the home as we found it had a lot of this travertine in other parts of the home. And so we wanted to, not introduce a new material, kind of speak to what was pre-existing, but we did come up with this new pattern for the floor. And it's actually inspired by the Copenhagen airport, which is my husband's Danish, and I've traveled to Copenhagen all the time. And I've always admired this sort of linear, punctuated by vertical plank patterning. They do it in wood. We recreated it here in travertine, but that's sort of a personal note laid into this home. Another extremely hardworking space is the butler pantry. There's quite a bit of working here too. We've got your printer copier. We've got a little dog station over here. There's a fillable dog water bowl down here, along with, food storage. And then beyond is all of your pantry goods, your platters, your mobile appliances, things like that. So we're kind of repurposing the same palette of colors. Like, you'll see this is the same palette that was in the Negroni room. So you've got this kind of ochre caramel color. Then you've got this warm rusty burgundy color. And we're just kind of, it's really interesting to see how color changes when you take it, from the ceiling and put it on the wall, or when you have it in cabinetry, or just the light in this space is so different from the living room. But it's the same palette of colors that we're using again here. I think when you have a whole home and you have the opportunity to design a whole home at the same time, it's really important that it doesn't feel like, I call it the Disneyland effect, where every room has its own story. They need to be individuals, but they should maybe be like siblings, There should be a thread of recognition as you move from one room to the next. So they're identifiable, but still very connected. And everything is, pocket doors. So depending on the level of concealment you're looking for, if you are hosting an event, you can, kind of close it off there. You could also, if you wanted to keep your dog tucked away, you can close it off there as well. So it's really malleable to kind of like reveal or conceal as much as you want. This room, this moody little nugget of a powder room, was real fun to design. It definitely, like many of the other rooms, started with a piece of stone. So this piece of stone stood out to the homeowner. They fell in love with it. We wanted to do something new with it. We've used stone on tables, we've used stone on countertops, and here we wanted to showcase it more as a piece of, art by nature. So we created this arched framework for it, tucked a freestanding pedestal. This is like a ceramic pedestal piece, and made it, lit it, made it a little moment. The walls in this room are lime wash. Originally had been planned to be plaster, but ended up being this room was a little more hardworking. It's right off of the entry, so it's kind of the main powder room for guests. So we did go with a lime wash paint finish that has a plaster effect over actual plaster, which is a little more sensitive to wear and tear and water and things like that. Okay, so matcha latte, we've got the eat-in kitchen area here, and then through that space we've got this little mudroom. It's kind of the pool mudroom, so there's a lot of tile work. We want to be able to just throw a wet swimsuit anywhere and it does no harm. So we came up with this. This is a custom tile pattern. We've got colored grout in there, which is really fun, and also helps with the longevity of a hardworking space like this. So we've got this bench, it's full of storage. All of these cabinets can hold, they kind of flex and they can hold pool noodles, beach towels, all of that. And then beyond, you know, if you're running in and out of the pool, there's this pool bathroom, which carries through that same tile detail. Let's head upstairs to the bedroom level and take a look at some of the sleeping and lounging spaces up there. So this was kind of like a little bonus space off the main, you know, path of the house here. We're kind of in the upstairs off the hallway. And it was just this little room that was left over. It was originally styled as an office space, but we set it up as more of a reading room. So you've got book storage and a cozy little landing spot there. It's a very comfortable sofa. The painting is the homeowner's. She sourced it. I remember when she got it, and she felt a connection to it. There was this black dog in the foreground, and she is a lover of black labs, and she felt a connection. She also felt like there was a mystery to it. That I talk about those pieces that challenge you. I think that she was attracted to the challenge of this piece, that it wasn't an easy piece, and that kind of made it all the more special to her. I think this is one of the only pieces in the house that's antique. Like, she's very much more of a contemporary art collector, and this is an anomaly in that it is actually a historical piece. You can see where it's like been reframed over the years. It was made smaller and then made larger again. So I think the layers to it are really fun. The moodiest spaces of the whole home by design. The primary bedroom, inspiration taken from a cup of Mexican hot chocolate. So a little sweet, a little sultry, a little spicy. We even had some fun. The lamps are by Mexican artists, the nightstand lamps, and they have these fantastic pull chains on them. They really are just a special treat to use. Trying to create like an envelope of space here. Everything is one color. Again, this house is a story of colors. We're tapping again back into those rusts and reds and romantic rosy tones, and we sort of end there. So what you're not seeing here are those caramels. They kind of come up in adjacent spaces. We've got this hot red lacquer nightstands. Again, with the lacquer, there's a little touch of it in every room. We've got this nearly wall-to-wall rug that just kind of gives you this great base layer and cozies up the space. Window treatments are this lovely mohair, which I know you can't feel, but I wish you could. They're so decadent to touch. And they are in sort of this like monochromatic tone to the walls. So on first blush, they sort of disappear and then they kind of come alive to you as you move closer to them. Yeah, this room we did not change spatially or structurally. The fireplace pre-existed, and there was sort of like a little TV room on the other side. We did replace the stone, painted the whole room, added some architectural moldings throughout, but the real like bones of the room kind of remain the same. So you might sense that there's a real change in tone of this room. We've moved from, you know, energy in the main level to definitely moody, subdued. We're quieting ourselves down in this space, but we have not lost a thread to the main level. So this whole home, there's a common language of these warm tones, these rusts, these reds, these plums, these goldens, these ochres, and you'll see them in every space. So that is what really allowed us to have a unique identity in every room, but have the home feel one voice at the end of the day. Like you can really get a sense that like one family kind of came in and had a hand in how it looks today. I do love this screen piece. This is a freestanding screen with these golden piano hinges. It was made by a local friend and maker, Rovan, Andy of Rovan. He makes a lot of our custom furniture for us. And it's, you know, totally collapsible, could go with them to future locations. And I just personally am in love with the folding screen. I think it's an underused piece of furniture in today's interior design. I think it works as a great backdrop to other furniture pieces. It lends shadow lines to a room. You get, this sense of depth and movement, and kind of breaks up the room's energy, and it makes it feel more spontaneous, I think. You've got this sort of like casual unfolding of the screen behind the bed. We also, to talk about lighting, love our lighting options in this house. So around the bed, you've got pendant lighting, you've got lamp lighting, you've got a little task reading lighting, then we've got our sort of ambient lamp lighting, as well as overhead lighting and spotlights. So in every room, there's so many layers of lighting to really match your mood, match your need, and always, always, always featuring the art and the architectural pieces of the home. This room is a great example of going big on a single color can actually feel less wild than a lot of different colors. I think sometimes people think color means a lot of different colors. Like if you're a color lover, you love all the colors, and that's great. But I also think it's counterintuitive. If you're dipping your toe into the world of color, picking one color and kind of enveloping the whole space in one color can actually feel a little simpler. You get a really dramatic effect, but it doesn't feel chaotic. It doesn't feel scattered. You also don't have to worry as much about things clashing. So if you're just starting to experiment with color and you're afraid that, I don't know if I am confident enough to match greens and blues and reds and yellows together, just pick one color and experiment with like lighter and darker shades of that. So like these pillows are a great example. We've got, plum tones, mid-tone plums. We've got like a dark black brown plum. We've got a rosy color. We've got an orangier version, but they're all, again, talking about siblings, they're all kind of members of the same family. And it looks expensive. It looks like you really know what you're doing. But I do think it's easier for the average person to pull off. One of the bigger challenges of this project, it is a fairly spacious home. There's a number of living spaces, even mudroom spaces. So one of the things that we really worked closely with the homeowner on was giving each space a definitive personality. Again, that concept really helps us do that successfully. But thinking about, for example, what is the room that I'm sitting in right now? What is this used for? And how is it unique from how other sitting rooms in the house are being used? Where are their televisions? Where is their music? Where are their fireplaces? How can we give each space a distinct identity and purpose so that the whole entirety of the house is used? It may not all be used in a single day, but throughout the course of a year, and definitely throughout the course of a family's time in this space, there's a purpose to this room, and there's a purpose to other rooms, bedrooms, sitting areas, gathering spaces. That was definitely something we spent a lot of time on and are still working through as the family is evolving and spending more time in this space. They're discovering new needs that they want to accommodate. And so thinking about how everything can get used throughout the course of the year. Of course, the timeline was also a challenge, but I think in the end it was a really beautiful challenge, and it pushed us into a really unique place that we might not have gotten without that specific design parameter. So a little vacation from the moodiness. This room has a very different energy. This is the guest space, and it's much sunnier, much brighter, more like a glass of lemonade. We've got the sunflowers on the drapery. We've got kind of this coastal blue shaker 4-post bed. The sheeting and the bedding is very light and airy. We just have a whole different beverage in this room. Honestly, if I'm being honest, this room, we repurposed a lot of things. We modified some of them. So like the bed was black and we painted it blue to kind of suit this palette of this room a little bit more. Some of the bedding was from the other home that we had designed for this homeowner. We layered in some new pieces, but I think it's a really fun example of everything doesn't have to start over new. And actually a lot of the things that you've seen throughout the house were not brand new, but maybe had been reupholstered or adapted. Maybe it's the Midwesterner in us, but we really aren't a throwaway culture. We really like to reuse, repurpose. encourage people to buy pieces and find new ways to live with them. So this guest bedroom really was a amalgamation of pieces the homeowner loved, as well as a few new additions. So we upgraded the bedding. I think the drapery really added a new voice to the conversation. I think there's a country quality to this a little bit, and maybe it's the color palette. We've got, metal side tables. We've got some wood notes at the desk, a little industrial, a little rustic, but alongside some polished elements like custom drapery and this really chic, like slip-covered rocking chair in the corner. So it's a little sweet, it's a little cozy, and definitely feels like a little bit of a vacation from the rest of the house in some ways. Concept for this room, it was definitely the most challenging concept, but also the most fun. So the homeowner's most favorite beverage of all beverages was a glass of room temperature tap water. And when she told me that, I chuckled because I thought, I can't think of anything more neutral than that. It was a very Gwyneth Paltrow kind of answer. And I just was so excited about the opportunity of how to create a dramatic statement bathroom that matched the energy of the rest of the house, but still have it channel this like non-entity of a glass of tap water. So we started, once again, you'll notice a theme, we started with stone. And the homeowner actually had purchased this stone for a previous project and had it, and it worked so well with our concept that we started with that and we built on top of it. So the notes that you're seeing recurring throughout the house, we've got these like oxidized brass, bronze hardware. There's layers of like metal. There's some industrial notes alongside organic notes of stone. And then we've got more decorative notes of, there's like this very petite kind of French ticking stripe wallpaper throughout. All the cabinetry in this space was new. We custom designed, kind of blending, again, wood with stone with these high gloss lacquer elements. Now that I'm thinking about it, I do think that there's a high gloss lacquer in every single room almost, as well as these like metallic elements. We really were able to carry that through into every space. This tile was made by my good friend, Kristen Falkirk. She makes a lot of our tile. And so each piece was hand cut, hand glazed. And, the pattern is not as simple as it looks. There's sort of this 2-layer alternating pattern, but there's also threads of runs that go the other direction. I think it really takes the organic quality of a handmade tile and ups the ante, which was fun to do. Beyond the stone case doorways, we've got a water closet, it's a toilet room, and then a shower with a little bit more of Kristen's tile on the floor, and then the clay Zellige tile on the walls. I think a home is a member of the family. And that doesn't necessarily mean that everything is nice all the time. I do think that there's a lot of value, and maybe that's why I love old homes so much, is they come to the table with needs and wants. They come to the table with a story that's already pre-existed your cohabitation with it. And there's a lot of value in that. But sometimes it can be challenging. Sometimes we as occupants of these homes have to maybe modify or get to modify our behavior, and we learn something new about ourselves because we're challenged or pushed to try something new in our daily routine or embrace a new way of gathering in a new space that we maybe weren't used to before we started living with this space. So I think it's an amazing opportunity. I really strive for evolution in homes. I think every home is trying to tell 3 stories at the same time. I really think we've got the story that the home has, that it's bringing to the table. I think that the homeowner has a history that they're bringing to the table, their travels, their lives, their loves. And then there's this future story of the two together and what you're hoping to see in the future together, whether that's families or travel or gatherings, whatever it is you're seeing for yourself down the road. How do we bring these 2 stories together and make a third news story. And we have to respect all of those. We can't trample over every one. I don't think it's successful if you ignore the home's history and only think about yourself in this space. And I don't think it's successful the other way, to live in a museum and say only the home's presence matters and I will just learn to adapt to it. It really has to be a merging of both. And so for me, I think when you think about the home as another member of the family, sometimes that's challenging. Sometimes that's, there's a butting of heads a little bit, but there's also a ton of beauty and opportunity in being challenged like that. And learning new things about yourself. Thanks so much, Homeworthy, for coming with me on this tour. I really enjoyed showing you around, and we'll catch you next time.
On today's episode of Homeworthy, we're in Minneapolis, Minnesota, visiting the charming home of Patty Wagner. Patty, who spent 13 years as a senior product designer at Target, lives here with her husband and 3 kids. Their home was once a fixer-upper that nearly faced demolition, but became their dream project. With Patty's eye for design and her husband's construction expertise, they transformed this house into a timeless and cozy family home. For Patty and her family, home is a journey, one that's been well worth the wait. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. To shop items inspired by this and other Homeworthy episodes, be sure to check out the product links below for amazing furniture, accessories, and more.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Patty. Welcome to Minnesota. Let me show you my home. Hi, I'm Patty Wagner. I'm also known as Patty Cake Wagner on Instagram. I also have a blog called pattycakewagner.com where I cover home design and decor. My husband and I also own some rentals here in the Twin Cities. This is our Tudor home, built in 1927. It has really beautiful character, lots of charm, also lots of traditional elements as well. In my 20s, I was really into lots of simple, modern design, but when we bought this Tudor house, I just really loved the traditional feel, kind of that old world style. So what you'll see here in our house is a lot of traditional elements mixed in with some casual aesthetics as well, because we have 3 kids, so nothing is too perfect or formal. Welcome to our entryway. This is the first thing you see when you walk into our house. It's pretty small, but I feel like it has so much character. This console table we actually got when we first moved in. We were on a very tight budget. We did all of the work ourselves. We painted this whole entire house. We also refinished the windows. So when we furnished, we were very budget conscious. So this table is actually IKEA and it works because it's just the right width for this entryway. And I just like to keep it, very simple. And this artwork here I got from our local antique store. And I feel like it just really ties in with the old world charm of our Tudor home. What I really love about our entryway is the original floor that you see here. It looks like brick, but it's some type of tile. I'm not exactly sure what it is. But my favorite part of this tile is you can see these cute, I shouldn't say cute, but this very classic inlay in the tile. And because it has this really warm color, I wanted a rug that would just really blend in and complement the tile. So this was actually a gift from a friend of ours, and it works so well in here. So this is a vintage rug. The sliding fixture is just so beautiful. It's very unique, and I'm so glad that we kept it here. So a question I get asked a lot on my Instagram is, what is this little door here? And it is our mailbox. Speaking of, I just got some mail. All right, let's head over to the dining room. Welcome to the dining room. So our house is not an open concept. They're all just separated, and I really actually like that coziness of it. We eat in our dining room like almost 3 times a day, and when we had young kids, we really wanted a table that would be kid friendly. So we chose a table that had this nice soft corners so the kids won't hit their heads. And I really love the wood tone. The warm wood tone just really matches the warm woods throughout our house. The table and the chairs are from Crate and Barrel. The seating is so comfortable. It has this leather that is super easy to clean and wipe off, which is very important when you've got little dirty fingers while they're having their meals. A feature that I really love about our dining room are the built-ins. So I'll show you what's in here. It's a little sparse right now. I'm still trying to figure out how to style it, but some pieces in here that I really like. This is for papaya salad. So I'm from Laos, and my favorite food is Lao food. This is the tool that you use to make papaya salad. And some of these pieces are hand-me-downs from Brian's parents. That's my husband. His mom saved a lot of things, and when she downsized, she didn't need some of these pieces. So this is like a fondue set. This crystal cake stand is a wedding gift. So a lot of the pieces in here have some meaning, and then some are just for practical everyday use. This little shelf in our dining room is so cute. I just love changing it out throughout the season. So right now, I just have books here from my husband's childhood. Our girls love to pick up these books and read them, so we'll kind of just change them out so they have something different to look at each season. These picture frames I got from our local antique store, and it had some photos in it, and I just swapped it out to put our family photos in here. I know that when you walk into some people's homes, they don't really have family photos, but I love family photos. So I have pictures of our family and our kiddos in there. When it comes to styling our table, I like to keep it really simple. It's a little bit big right now because our hydrangeas are growing, and we had a big storm that came through, so a branch snapped. So I got to bring these beauties in, and I thought, why not display them here? So with our 3 little ones, I always try to make sure that we can live in the space, and I try to not be like, oh, don't touch this, don't touch that. So I love picking rugs that are super practical but still look great in the space. So this is a jute cotton rug, and we have spaghetti spills, lots of food spills, but you can't even tell because you just blot them off and they just blend them in nicely. Now let's head into the kitchen. This is our kitchen. Believe it or not, this used to be our old attached garage. When we toured this house, it was on the market for a while. A lot of people didn't see its potential. Our laundry room, which you'll see later, was the original kitchen. So it was a very small galley kitchen, but we had this vision that this garage could be a future kitchen. And so we opened up this arch wall and created this kitchen of our dreams. So when we renovated this kitchen, my husband is very knowledgeable about construction, and I just love design. So I put together a design board, and I wanted the design board to reflect the existing parts of our home, so it didn't feel like a disconnect. So when people walked in, they would think that this kitchen has been here all along. So I chose warm terracotta tile for the floors because they really tied back to the entryway that you just saw. And I just really love how it warms up the space. And then I love a good white kitchen. I feel like every year people are saying it's in or it's out, but to me, it's just timeless. But that's not to say we won't paint it down the road. We picked these inset cabinets, which tie back to all of the cabinets that are in our house. So we have that detail, and then we also have these exposed hinges, which also ties back to the other parts of our house. And then for the countertop, I love a good marble countertop. But nothing too over the top in terms of like the the veining of the marble. So we found this one. This is Kerr marble. Love just a simple veining in here. And then on the perimeter of the countertop, we picked granite countertop, and it was actually supposed to be honed countertop, but when they installed it, my husband and I were away at work, and when we came back, it was this polished granite, and they decided to give us a discount, and we thought, you know what, it's actually really practical. It wipes off so easily, so even though I love the look of honed granite, this polished marble is so easy to clean. It's so easy to maintain. So I am a big lover of plants. You'll see live plants all throughout our house, but I also love a good faux plants just for easy maintenance. So just having these little succulents and terracotta planters, it's just a simple way to add some warmth and some color into a space if you don't want it to be like overly colorful. My husband was so sweet. He actually polished our copper pans because he knew that we were doing a home tour. So he was up last night just polishing these, but I love copper cookware. So they're not just for show. We actually use this, and it usually is a little bit more patinaed, but my husband polished it. And I love a good utensil holder. So we have two because we cook here a lot. My husband is actually the cook. He cooks about 60% of the time. I'm about 40% of the time. So we love to just have utensils out so it's easy to reach. Originally, everyone told us you're gonna want a big pantry. So we thought, oh, you know, are we gonna add a big pantry here? But we decided, you know what, we love to entertain, like love to entertain. We love having family and friends over. So we decided to do a little bar area, and this gets used a lot. So we have a beverage fridge and our glassware. And this is just like a great place for us to entertain. So this gets used a lot. And I'm so glad we picked this over the pantry. We actually have a small pantry, and everyone is just surprised that with a family of 5 that this is all that we have, but it actually works for us. It's not organized, so don't judge. So this is what we have, and it works really well for us. When we renovated about 11 years ago, we were on a tighter budget than we are now. So one thing that we did to help us stay within our budget was getting secondhand appliances. So our fridge was from a Craigslist find, and our stove, our range is from a friend who was actually renovating, and this no longer fits their kitchen style. So we purchased that from our friend. And this here too, this was from our friend. And then we also got this as a floor model from the appliance store. But you know what? They work. And to me, all of this, like the stainless steel and the black stove, is timeless. I framed these photos, and this is during our demo process of the garage turned kitchen. So my husband and his brother demoed the entire garage before we started construction. And when we demoed, well, we as in my husband and his brother, we found these steel beams. I believe there were like 11 or 12 that went across. So the builder built our house to be like commercial grade. So we always joke that our house is like destruction proof. I just love looking at this because it's a great reflection on how far we've come with this house. I mean, it's been 13 years since we've been in this house. So being able to see like, that's where we started, this is where we are now, just always makes me feel very grateful. When we started designing our kitchen, you know, with the white kitchen and then with the darker floor, the darker terracotta tile floor, we felt like we needed some balance in this room. And so we added in these faux beams. I love the faux beams because it helps bring your eyes upwards and helps with the perspective of the space. All right, now I'll take you to the laundry room, which used to be the kitchen, so follow me. We are now in the laundry room, which used to be the old galley kitchen. So as you can see, it's pretty small for a kitchen, but I love that we're able to repurpose this room into our laundry room, much better than when we used to do laundry down in the basement. So these here are the original cabinets from the kitchen. So my husband restained it, and it took us a while. It was like a trial and error to try to get the right stain color because it was really orangey before. But I'm so glad that we decided to stain it and not paint it. It just really feels like, you know, it's a part of the house, and I didn't want to take that away. But some things that we did that made it feel more updated was add this backsplash here. I just really like this picket pattern. I just thought it made it feel a little bit more fresh since we kept the original cabinets. So connected to the laundry room is our mudroom. This used to be the old breakfast nook. So the family that used to live here, you know, this was their kitchen, and then they probably sat here and had their meals. So there was a window right there, which we actually turned into the doorway. So that will lead to our courtyard. It's a smaller mudroom, but it really works so well for a family. I'm just so happy that we have a mudroom. When you live in Minnesota, a mudroom is very, very important. So my husband did this built-in bench to help maximize the space, and then we stained it a similar color to the cabinets in the laundry room. And we have all of these baskets for shoes. I love baskets, super practical, and the darker color kind of helps hide all the little mud and dirt. So another thing that I had to really think about for the mudroom is just like, it can't just be like this Pinterest pretty room, like it has to work. So I really had to think about like, what kind of rug do we want in here? So this is a water hog runner. So I would highly recommend, if you live anywhere where it snows or it rains a lot, but this is super useful. I mean, we trek snow through here, tons of dirt, and then you just hose it off and looks good as new. Right off of the laundry room is our little powder room. This actually used to be really tiny. It was like the size of a telephone booth, but we just opened it up just a little and added in the beadboard to give it a little design element, but it was really just white, all white walls and super basic. But we added in beadboard. We kept this tiny sink. We could not, like, there's no other small sink out in the market. So this one, we kept the small sink and we added in this lacquered brass faucet that we found online. So one simple update that we did here was just swap out the old silver toilet handle for this brass one to tie back to our unlacquered brass faucet, and then adding in this towel bar. So just little simple updates, but I feel like they made such a big difference. Now let's head to the living room. Follow me. This is our living room. It's long and narrow, and at first it was very awkward to kind of figure out the configuration of our furniture. But we decided to break it up into two spaces. So this is a little bit more of our casual seating area, and this is a little bit more like formal, like conversational, more so for my husband and I. We sit here, we have coffee, we chat, we have our weekly meeting here, and then this is where we just sit and chat as a family. So if you have a long, narrow living room, I highly recommend splitting them up into two. In this seating area, the one thing that we wanted to keep in mind was comfort. My husband is all about furniture that he can actually like sit and like kick up his feet. This is a place where we hang out, we talk a lot here. This is where the kids read, and this is where we kick our feet up. So a nice, soft upholstered leather ottoman is just perfect for the space here. A feature that I really love about this room is this built-in shelf. it's always just fun to style it out. And so a lot of the things that I have on here are things that have some meaning to us, like our wedding photo, things that were handed down to my husband from his grandpa and his parents. And then this is a box that my husband got from his brother when he was stationed in Afghanistan. So he brought that back for him as a gift. This is a boutonniere from our wedding. So I just love that it's kind of a conversation area. So when we have people over, we can just have a conversation around the pieces in this space. This fireplace, the stone here is original to the house. This was a wood burning fireplace, but there was a lot of maintenance that we had to do to it. So we decided to turn it into a gas fireplace, and it has been amazing for the winter time. I mean, we use our gas fireplace a lot. It just feels so cozy in here with the fireplace. And then we added this simple wood mantle above it. Before it was just this blank space, but I always dreamed about, when it was Christmas and putting a garland up. So we added this mantle and put this mirror above, and I feel like it just really frames out the fireplace really well. When we picked our couch, we just wanted something that was really comfortable, that we can just relax in. And people are always like, how can you have this light furniture with young kids? But I don't really see an issue with it. We don't see, nothing really shows. We'll vacuum it up once in a while. But yeah, don't be afraid of light furniture. Even if you have kids, this is just, it's so comfortable. I love it. And behind the sofa, so I was trying to figure out what we wanted to put back here to help divide up the space from this casual seating to the more formal seating. And then I found this console from Etsy. So it's this couple from Texas. They custom make furniture, and they also did the custom staining for me as well. And it was a really great price. So would highly recommend that you check out Etsy if you want some custom furniture. This is our gallery wall. I love a good, simple gallery wall. I can appreciate all types of gallery wall, but I personally just love a really simple, clean one. And I printed these photos out in black and white. So these are places that my husband and I have traveled together. Here's a picture of our wedding venue. And then also just old portraits of his grandparents. And I wish I had some of my grandparents, but I don't. But if I did, I would definitely have it up in here. But this gallery wall is a great place for us to have conversations with our guests as well, because they always ask, what's this photo of? Our kids love looking at this too, and they'll always ask, Mom, when did you guys go here, or where was this? I just love that our gallery wall is very personal to us. So this area here, before we had this furniture, we were just really puzzled about how we wanted it to look. I like that we have these two chairs facing each other. So my husband and I, we will sit here and we will have our weekly meetings just to catch up about work, catch up about life. And it's just a great place for us to sit here after the kids go to bed. And this furniture here, so this is from Crate & Barrel. This is part of the Leanne Ford line. I am so amazed at the fabric though. I thought, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to clean this a lot. I have not cleaned this, and I think I've had it for maybe 4 years now, and the fabric looks good as new. So when we're sitting in our chairs, we wanted a table where we can just set down our coffee cup, and I found this table in an antique store. I love a good round pedestal table, and this wood tone also matches the chair really well. When we had the two spaces set up, we originally had 2 different rugs, and I just felt like it wasn't flowing together as well. And also we have this old oak wood flooring, which I think it's so beautiful, but because we have oil-based poly on it, it has really yellowed over time, and and the yellow was just like really prominent. And so I wanted a rug that covered some parts of the floor. Like before, you would see like a big chunk of the wood floor here. But I put together 2 jute wool rugs to make it look like it's this one big rug. And I feel like that really pulled the 2 spaces together. I found this rug from Pottery Barn. It's just this really plush wool jute rug. It feels really great on your feet. We put the 2 together and it just makes the 2 seating areas flow better together. One of the things that really drew us to this house were the windows. These are original windows and they are so beautiful. My husband reglazed all of the windows in our house. And if you look really closely, you can see it has like the wavy glass, which I think is super cool. We have radiators all throughout our house, and I do get asked what is on top of this radiator, and it's just a limestone slab. It was actually here before we moved in, and it makes a nice shelf. So adds a little functionality to it. Now I'm gonna show you upstairs to show you the rest of the house, so follow me. Welcome to our primary bedroom. It's taken us quite a while to get here. It was one of the last rooms to be touched, but I am really loving where it's at right now. So our bed, this bed, is actually from my husband's bachelor days, and it's got the steel frame, and for the longest time I just wanted, you know, a new bed. But then I had this idea to I just threw an old linen sheet over the steel headboard, and I added a bed skirt in here, and now it feels like a brand new bed. So I just love that we were able to create something using what we already have. And when it comes to bedding, I used to do a lot of like solid colors, but lately I've really been into like floral patterns. This toile floral like garden pattern here is it's just so pretty. And of course I have all of these pillows that my husband thinks is unnecessary, but I think it adds to the coziness. And the 2 side tables are all Facebook Marketplace finds. I cannot believe I got them from Facebook Marketplace. I got, I believe, this beautiful desk here for $50, and the one on my husband's side for $40 or $30, but they're solid wood. They are just the right tone that I wanted for this room to complement our oak floors, our oak hardwood floors. And I love that we kind of just used, like, they're mismatched. For the longest time I thought I had to have like these matching nightstands, but I'm really loving just the asymmetry of it. I am very picky about what I put on our walls, and I found these artwork from Facebook Marketplace. Again, I check Facebook Marketplace a lot. And this was from a lady who had downsized, and this was a wedding gift. When I met her and she saw that I was buying the picture frame, she said that she was really happy to see it go to a happy home. So I'm so glad that it now lives here in our bedroom. And the artwork above our bed, I had such a hard time thinking what was gonna go up here. And finally, I found this old like gift wrap from my old boss. So I used to be a product designer for Target, and one of my first celebrity designers that I worked with was John Darien. And so this was like a gift wrapping paper that my boss gifted to me. And then I found it and I decided, why not frame it? I may put like some, what do you call that? The Mod Podge, just to make it look more like an actual painting. But yeah, I just love that I just made this artwork out of this simple gift wrap, or out of the simple gift wrapping paper. So our house was built in 1927, And while there is a lot of charm and character, the closets are all pretty small. So we had these built-ins made. So this one is my husband's side and this one is mine. And I feel like when I walk in here, it's been here all along. It doesn't feel like we like added it on later. So I really love that. And then I found this old chair from Facebook Marketplace, you guessed it. And it's just a simple chair for us to sit on when we're getting ready for the day. This is what it looks inside the built-in. These are the original closets. I won't open that up because you don't want to see what's in there right now. But I'm so happy that we were able to add on to our closet because closet space is really nice to have. Off of our primary bedroom is our bathroom. So this is a total dream. This used to be a sleeping porch. So back before there was air conditioning, the previous owners would come here, open up the window to cool down during the summer. But nowadays you don't really need a sleeping porch. So we had this dream of turning it into our primary bathroom. And 2 years ago, we were able to make that dream come true. My favorite thing about this bathroom is our tile. This is from Mercury Mosaics, and they make the most beautiful handmade tile. I wanted the tile to tie back to our little green bathroom, which you'll see later. We only had one bathroom upstairs, which we shared with the kids. So it's so nice to have a bathroom of our own. And that bathroom has this really beautiful green tile. So this is like the bigger sister or brother, or the cool cousin of that bathroom. When we planned the layout, so my husband and I general contracted out this project, we really just thought carefully about how we wanted to use this space. And I mean, I feel so lucky that this is a very nice size for a bathroom, much better than our little small bathroom that we have upstairs. So we knew that the bathtub had to go in front. So when you open up the French door, you were just greeted with this clawfoot tub. And then we have the shower here because there's no windows to that side. The one biggest challenge that we really had to think through was where were we going to put the vanity, and would the vanity work here because of the windows? So we decided to have the mirrors mount from the ceiling, and I feel like it really works. The lighting is so great in here. Like all the natural light that comes in is like perfect for getting ready. We had the vanity custom built so that way it would fit the size of the space. And I love this dark walnut color. I won't open the drawers right now, but loving just this walnut, the walnut color. And then we actually added these faux exposed hinges so it would tie back to the rest of our cabinetry in the house. This is marble on here, and I know people have warned us about marble in the bathroom, but it's been 2 years and I could not think of another material to use in here. It's just so elegant. And I love the backsplash and the side splash that we added here. Now let's head to the girls' room. Right across from our primary bedroom is our girls' room. I adore their room. It's like what I would have wanted when I was a little girl. So they share this room and they absolutely love it. They're like best friends. The twin beds here, this was actually just an affordable find we ordered from Target, and it works really well in here. So when we moved into this house, and we were renovating and just remodeling, we were doing a lot of DIY work. This is where we stayed, and we had to fix a lot of cracks in this room. When my daughter, my oldest daughter, moved in here, it was just her, but we knew that, we just had this hope that someday she would have a sibling to share this room with. So we actually got 2 twin-size beds, and we painted it this really charming pink color. And this was the color that both of the girls wanted. So we had them decide between a few colors. We like put the swatches on the walls, and then they ultimately picked this color. My oldest daughter just loves horses. She would like to have a horse of her own, but for now we'll have some artwork up on the walls. Some are vintage artwork and some are new that we got from Etsy. Their closets are kind of an odd size, so it's really low. So we got these 2 closets from IKEA, and it works for now, but when they get older, I'm guessing we'll do some type of built-in in here, but for now it works. My daughters are like little old souls. I like to say they love going antique shopping with me. They love it when I find things on Facebook Marketplace for them. So some of the artwork pieces are from Facebook Marketplace or from antique stores. This little desk here, I found secondhand. And they just love this table. So this is where they kind of just sit and read. And then I also found this stool, which looks like it goes with the table, but I found it separately on Facebook Marketplace as well. For their bedding, they just really love flowers. They love lots of like really cute patterns. And so that's what we have incorporated in their bedding. I just really love how this dark pink here goes well with their wall. I know I mentioned their closet earlier, so we turned that into their little reading spot. So one of the features that the girls and I really love is this scallop lighting. I feel like it just pulls everything together. Just love that little scallop detail. Now let's head over to my son Jack's room. Follow me. This is Jack's room. He is 5 years old, and this is very much a 5-year-old's room. He just loves cars, construction, anything with wheels. So when we designed this room, we wanted to make sure that it really reflected like his personality. So like the wall art, I actually, I scanned this old book that my husband had when he was a kid, and this was a book that Jack really loves. He wanted to read this book like every single night when he was a toddler. So I just scanned them and framed them, and I think that's such a great way to create artwork. So this room used to be the nursery for all 3 of our kids. So this room is like very sentimental to me. Every time I walk in this room, I can just like, you know, envision them when they were little tiny babies. But now it's Jack's big kid room. It's small, but I think it's just so adorable. I love this little shelf here. And these are books from my husband's childhood days. And you see a lot of things from my husband's childhood because I don't have anything from my childhood. If I did, they would definitely be here, but I don't really have anything from when I was a kid. But yeah, I just love these little pieces. He loves cars. He loves old cars. He said his wish one day is to build a car with Dad. So when Jack transitioned from a crib to a bed, I was afraid of him like falling off the bed. So I wanted a more low profile bed. And this one is just perfect. I love this wood tone. I think it's such a great, cute bed. And for the bedding, I kind of just like to keep it solid in here. Jack has like a lot of colorful toys and books. So for the bedding, we just kind of keep it simple, and he doesn't really care about his bedding at all. One of Jack's favorite things in his room from a design standpoint is this light. This is from Creighton Kids. He says it's his solar system light. So every time he turns it on, he just giggles, which I think is so cute. yeah, I mean, it's a small room, but I think it really works for him. Now I'll take you outside to our patio. Right off of our kitchen is our patio or slash courtyard. I feel like this is a total dream. Like, we're living in a dream. This took us 2 years to make happen. The last piece of this was adding this pergola, and we just got that installed. But the pergola, the fireplace, the little seating area with the backdrop of our hydrangeas. I mean, what more can you ask for? This is just a great place for our family to sit and just hang out during summer. But during the fall, I'm excited to just also turn on the fireplace and be out here. Like, just imagine, making s'mores and all of that. So our outdoor furniture is from Brown Jordan when they had their limited collaboration with Home Depot. So they don't sell it anymore, but I just really love how it's easy to maintain with this faux wicker, and the seating is like really, really comfortable. But we've had this for about 9 or 10 years, and I feel like it looks good as new. This teak coffee table is from Birch Lane, and we also have the matching deck box behind there. But I love teak wood for outdoors. They're super durable, and I feel like they just add like a nice warm and like cozy feeling to the outdoors. This is our outdoor dining area. This is where we have a lot of our meals during the summer. So this teak has grayed over time, but we can simply refinish it to get it to look like that again. But I don't mind the gray that much. This patio umbrella is from Pottery Barn with Sunbrella furniture. So it is super durable. It won't mold or mildew, which is perfect for the outdoors. I just love the simple black and white stripe in here. It feels like we're in like some English countryside, even though we're in the heart of the city. Well, Homeworthy, it's been great having you. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.